put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. We just had about 7:31 a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. I'm Julien Skeete, and as we continue with this morning, we have on set with us Sergeant in charge of traffic, Malinda Daniel-Kirk, and no stranger to us here on Tobago Updates, Acting Inspector Sherla Prince. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right. So as we get the conversation started this morning, we want to start with what is usually the obvious in these interviews when we have TTPS, or no pressure at all. What has been our progress to date? We are in the month of March. We have identified, unfortunately, the challenges facing us. I think we're just at about on number 5 in terms of the murder rate. And so what has been the progress with any of these matters?
Well, first of all, let me start with last week, we had 14 persons arrested on outstanding warrants. These warrants were TAC warrants and maintenance warrants. Additionally, we had one person appearing before the court with fraudulent conversion. The Criminal Investigation Department arrested and charged one person for possession of firearm and ammunition. So we had quite a few success stories last week.
All right, so that we are attempting to make some progress and steps in the right direction.
In the right direction.
All right. This morning, we also have with us the benefit of the sergeant in charge of traffic. And you know, sometimes you could have some people that love you all because you do well, and then some people that hate you all because they say instead of helping the thing to flow, you all obstruct the thing. But I want you to give us a sense from where you sit as it relates to Tobago specifically. How have things been generally? And I speak of that in the context of people complying with the relevant road rules and regulations in Tobago. How has that been generally in our Tobago space, and any areas you definitely want to remind or to admonish persons about as users of the highways and byways?
Okay. From my standpoint, from where I operate now in charge of the traffic department, what I observe, we are having some problems that it pertains right now to persons not adhering to the traffic light signal, especially that of the Rockley Vale traffic light. There are a lot of breach persons failing to comply with that traffic light signal. So my presence here today is that, as in keeping with our strategic plans and goal as it relates to public safety. We realized that for the period from January to March of 2023, when compared to this year of January to March 2024, the road traffic accidents that involving pedestrians, it's at a great increase. What we noticed from 2023, we had only 3 accidents were recorded during that period involving pedestrians. At this time, from January to March of this year, we have a record of 6 accidents involving pedestrian. We have at present a child that is warded still at the hospital in a stable but critical condition. So we are really trying to sensitize the public, because we realize when we are out there conducting our speed exercise, most drivers, they are not aware of the speed limits as it pertains to the road in Tobago. So I am just reminding the drivers, the speed limits as it pertains to the road in Tobago, from the Sherla traffic lights along the Clonowell Highway up to Bacalet traffic light, that speed limit, it's 80 kilometers. From Sherla Road, meaning from the said traffic light along the Grafton Road, that is also 80 kilometers. From the Erskine Square roundabout to Montgomery Road, that is still 80 kilometers. All other roads in Tobago, it's 50 kilometers, and drivers are not aware of that. It's difference pertaining to heavy vehicles, along with vehicles that carry passengers in excess of 10, where that speed limit is beyond 50, it goes up to 65. And the demerit points I just want to warn driver the demerit points as it pertains to when you are caught exceeding the speed limit. Because if where the road, the speed limit is 50 and you are caught with a speed limit of 80, that's a demerit point of 6 points already goes to your driver's permit. So we are really trying to encourage drivers to be aware and when you're on the road, please remember the pedal cyclists, the motorcyclists, and the pedestrian, please slow down on the nation's highway.
So I want to get from you, because, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that part in terms of pedestrians being affected. What's your advice and guidance to pedestrians in this circumstance? Because I know there are some, of course, that don't have the right attitude, and some pedestrians feel automatically, and I'm speaking now from the perspective of a driver, some pedestrians feel that I could step down anywhere, any part of the road to cross, and immediately the traffic has to adjust to accommodate me. When on the flip side, some pedestrians actually take the precaution to make sure that it is clear, etc., before you try to cross the roadway. What is your advice in those circumstances? What is acceptable, particularly when you get to a point where there's an accident that has taken place involving a vehicle and a pedestrian?
Well, what I will advise pedestrians, please, it's only the area where the zebra crossing is available. That is where the driver is obligated. You must slow down. You must come to a stop to allow the pedestrian to cross. But the areas, as we realize, along Garden Side Street, where there is no zebra crossing and pedestrians feel that because you're crossing, the driver automatically have to come to a stop. Please, we are advising them, no, only cross when it is safe to cross the roads. Please, we are pleading with the pedestrians.
All right. Let me bring back Acting Inspector Prince here in the mix. You're probably saying traffic on and it make your morning lighter. No. We want to find out from you, you know, as one of the areas that we're also looking at this morning is specific at demanding money by Menace. We have that situation taking place where in circumstance, and we speak broadly, whether you're speaking to issues of persons in business who may be threatened, you know, and the indication is that if you don't do X, Y, or Z, in terms of providing me with this kind of money and so on, are going to ensure that your life is affected. We also see it within how people operate from a one-on-one standpoint, sometimes blackmail circumstances and so on. I want you to let us know in the context of where do those things stand in the context of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, so let's define menace. A person or thing that is liable to cause harm or danger. If you look into our Larceny Act 1112, 31 and 32 speaks of any person and menaces demand from anyone anything capable of being stolen or with the intent to be stolen is liable to imprisonment for 5 years. What we have not seen in the Tobago space is any reports of demanding money by menaces. But I am not saying it cannot happen. So what I would like to tell our business owner, anybody in business, because they do their homework on businessmen, how much money comes in, how when they pay their workers and stuff like that. And, you know, they may want a job. And because they're not qualified, they might call the business owner and say, listen, I want this job, I want my family to get a work, and they may threaten their life, and even not their lives, but the life of the family and the children. And you have to pay me, as I will cause your place to be robbed. So we're asking our business owners, if this happens, make the report to the police station. But as I said, we have not had any reports since I am in Scarra for the last couple of years, no. But what we do see is that Tobagonians are parting with their monies because they are going and shop over the internet like marketplace. They are seeing jewelry, clothing, anything, and they are depositing monies into the accounts that they don't have any idea who these monies are going to without even seeing the tangible good. So I want to urge them, you know, think before you do that. Even we have people going to Trinidad to purchase vehicle, conducting cash transaction. You can do that. Close proximity to the police station. It's always open. The station is always open. Go into the station, speak to the sentry. I am from Tobago, and I am here to conduct a business of purchasing a car. I just need that, you know, that safety net, that security. So that's a little bit on the demanding money by Menace.
One of the things I want to get from you, and I note you said we haven't had any reports in Tobago, and do you believe it's a case that, it's not happening, or rather, for some, it might be a concern? Is it easier for me to pay it as a business person and continue to ensure the success of my business because I'm not certain how confident I am? And that was one of the issues I raised in the prior interview, how confident I am with the police service to be able to manage it in such a manner, especially in such a small place as Tobago, because the fear that exists for some, that even some of these persons who maybe want to cause harm, sometimes they know the right people in the TTPS, and that message may go right back. How do you treat with that situation from the standpoint of reassuring, particularly business owners and so on, when they make the comparison between what is being demanded of them and the comparison between taking the chance and letting the TTPS get involved to help with resolving the matter?
Well, as I said, it's not common here, and I am not saying it not happen. It can't happen, and even if it's happening, we don't know. And even if, why would a business owner want to be paying $20,000 out of his income every month for security for somebody who's not even on your payroll, or just for the safety? Don't let the criminal element put you in that position where you feel weak and you need to adhere to their rule and fancy. Come into the police, let us deal with it. We are trained to deal with it. So I'm telling them, no, say no and come to us, and we will find a way to deal with it.
All right. As we touch back on the matter of traffic very quickly, and I'm seeing a message coming in via WhatsApp, a reminder to us in terms of what some of those penalties are. I know you mentioned the demerit points as one aspect, but my understanding is that there are also fines that are attached. Can you remind us of some of those?
Right. As it relates to explaining the speed limits, the demerit points, it varies. So if a driver is found going over the speed limit between 1 to 9 kilometers, that's a fine of $1,000 with only a demerit point of 0. Going from beyond 10 kilometers to 19 kilometers, that's a fine of $1,500 with a demerit points of 2 against your driver's permit. Beyond 19 kilometers to 30 kilometers, that's a fine of $2,000 with a demerit points of 4. And from over 30 kilometers per hour, that's a fine of $3,000 with a demerit points of 6 points.
All right, excellent. So just giving a reminder to those of you out there, demerit points is part of it. And as I understand the system, those demerit points can now add up. What's the limit that it has to reach before your license is suspended? Just remind us of that again.
Right. So if your demerit points, you have a total of between 10 demerit points to 13 demerit points, you can be disqualified for 6 months. From having a points of 14 demerit points to 20 demerit points, you can be disqualified for 1 year. And from over 20 demerit points to 30 demerit points, you will be disqualified for 2 years.
And you can safely say, since this introduction, you have seen these things being applied in terms of the demerit points. Because that's one of our challenges in Trinidad and Tobago. We introduce a good system, but then we have complaints about it not being maintained. You can assure that you are seeing it being maintained.
Yes, it's been highly maintained.
All right, excellent. So that in the event, if we saw one of our cameramen and so here that's losing demerit points, we could have used them as an example. But that's not the case, folks, because we are good drivers. We are good drivers in the mix. I want you to remind Acting Inspector Prince, persons by way of treating with these same issues, how should they reach out if they're to be a little discreet? Because a business owner may not necessarily come to a station and make a kind of official, make everybody aware of what the situation is. What are some of the methods by which they can definitely reach out and connect with the police in matters like this, which may be of a sensitive nature?
Okay, so we have the TTPS app, and they can also do 555-211, or you can just basically call any station. I can leave my number, and the number of the station, 639-2512. That's the Scarborough Police Station. If you in this Chauvin, it's 639-8888.
All right, excellent indeed. Acting Inspector, any additional information you would want to share with us here before we wrap up this morning's interview?
Yes, I would like to invite all persons from the Signal Hill, Patience Hill area. We are having our town meeting on the 20th of March. It starts promptly at 7. We want to hear from you, whether you are satisfied or dissatisfied with the TTPS. We still want to hear from you. Additionally, I want to implore, because we're having a little challenge on the Claude Noel Highway with the vending. My officer, Sergeant Daniel-Kirk, and her team, we went there. We didn't just run everybody. We didn't do that. We talked, we gave them the literature stating that, you can't be on the highway vending. Even those who are stopping in the shoulder and purchasing, that is also an offense, and it's a cost of $200 if arrested and charged. So we are trying our best. We are telling our vendors, don't vend on the highway. There is the food hub, there is the market. But then when we come in town, we also seeing people on the pavement, that Wilson Road pavement, ED supermarket, we still see them. Obtain your peddler's license from the court. An investigation will be done by the police, but it doesn't permit you to sell on the pavement. All right?
And as you mentioned, the pavement in particular, a hotspot area in Scarborough where we have had challenges, shootings and so on, is the TTPS now making more regular patrols in and around that space?
Yes, we have. We have rolled out an initiative called Eye on Scarborough. So we have our patrol police static every day. All right? During the course of the 24.
All right. And a quick question to you, Sergeant Daniel-Kirk, very quickly. One is asking a question about the considerations for the introduction of more pedestrian walks in places or spaces where persons believe, it should be a walk there because the distance appears to be too far with where the pedestrian walk is. How is that usually determined or considered? Can persons write to make a recommendation to the TTPS that I feel that one should be considered in this particular area, etc.?
Well, reference to that information, what can happen, they can just inform us and we will liaise with a traffic management under the Tobago House of Assembly and we see how we can put things in place.
All right. And before we close this morning, your message, what would you like to leave with our viewers and listeners as it relates to traffic? And I have to say publicly on TV, just as I did before we started the interview, Officer Sibro out there is one of your shining examples of an officer, in terms of in traffic and treating with people. Calm and collective when he needs to be, stern and harsh if you require it, but certainly using that measure in the execution of his duty. What would be the message that you would want to leave here, particularly as it relates to traffic on behalf of the TTPS?
What I would just like to leave with the viewing public is please always be safe on the nation's road and please do not drink and drive.
Indeed, a very clear message and a reminder coming here this morning on behalf of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Acting Inspector Sherla Prince and Sergeant in charge of traffic Malinda Daniel-Kirk. We want to say thank you so much for joining us here on set this morning. Viewers, some gentle reminders for you as the TTPS continues to take on their role and responsibility, and notwithstanding the concerns or challenges out there, remember you have an opportunity to get involved in the process as early as this Wednesday. The 20th takes place, and that's in the Signal Hill area. So you have that opportunity to come, those in Signal Hill and environs, to get the opportunity to connect and to speak with the TTPS as we continue to make that collective contribution to ensure that we bring Tobago back to what we all would love to enjoy. Of course, no bias at all with the rest of the country, but we've got to start somewhere, and I prefer us to start in Tobago, where we reside currently. We want to thank you so much for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show, and to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.